Good morning. How you doing? So, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. We're going to use this as a topic of discussion today, and my intention with this is to have it a little bit more free flowing. I have thoughts in my head. I haven't noted them down to deliver them in a particular sequence. We're going to cover a couple of articles because it's not just being reported in one outlet, it's in a couple now. So I've chosen Sky and the Telegraph that we're going to go through. But I want to hear your thoughts because I think this idea of them potentially not increasing income tax is a good thing for working people. I think it raises more questions than answers, though. So the big question is going to be, well, if you're not going to increase income tax, which is the largest revenue source in the tax bucket for the government, if you're not going to do that, you're not going to touch that because you want to keep to your manifesto promise, are you going to pull in the money elsewhere? And so there will have to be a number of smaller increases somewhere, somehow. My thought is that even though you may not necessarily touch income tax, you're going to implement things that are going to be indirect taxes either way that will squeeze household incomes. But this is where I love to hear your thoughts. Does it not feel as though there's a lot of flip flopping going on? Because if you really think about it, right, winter fuel payments, they took that away. They found out, oh my god, we've messed up. It's not gone down very well at all. They've reinstituted it. I mean, the welfare reform bill, they couldn't pass that period to get it implemented. And now they had a press conference last week to tee up budget, which it's not common for chancellors to do, right? They don't typically do this. So you have a press conference where you paint this picture. I felt she was being honest. And you allude to the fact that there might be increases in the tax system, only for like a week and a half later on to then have it come out and be like, oh no, we're not going to do that. I mean, there's a lot of flip-flopping, indecisiveness. I mean, where is the leadership coming from, right? I don't know. But this is what we're going to talk about. And I want, again, to have this as a conversation between you and I. Before we get started, we're going to cross 72,000 subscribers at the end of, well, by the end of the weekend, beginning of next week. I want to say thank you to everyone who is newly subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get to 80,000 by the end of the year. I'm going to take some of December off, actually. So we may or may not get there. But the fact that you are subscribing, you are liking, you are commenting, I appreciate it because it just tells me that you are resonating with what we're doing here and the conversations we're having. And the whole idea is to, yes, have these conversations, but also add in some educational pieces around your finances as well. And if you want to hear more of that and you're not feeling as though you're getting enough of the educational side, please do let me know because I do look at the comments often. All right, so look, let's just go into, I think maybe let's touch on the Sky article first. And it says here, Starmer and Reeves ditch plans to raise income tax. The Prime Minister and Chancellor have spent weeks laying the groundwork to make the manifesto breaking announcement on November 26, but won't go ahead with it amid fears it would further anger Labour MPs and voters. I can't recall, because again, we covered it here live, right? Her press conference. And she talked a little bit about the parties putting party before the nation. If you know that this is the right thing to do, all right, so just taking away the fact that, okay, it would mean you pay more tax. If you take the argument away and you just acknowledge that, okay, this may be one of the best things to do for the country as a whole so that we can get the revenue in, fill the black hole, and then start to fix issues and get us to where we need to be. Is this not putting party ahead of the nation? Like they're saying they don't want to do something, but they're doing it anyway because they don't want to anger Labour MPs and voters. And I know that the voter side to this is very, very important, but why would you then have a press conference to try and frame what is coming? And I think she did a really good job at painting the challenge, the picture of the challenge ahead, only to now just renege on that. Anyway, you let me know what you think. It says here that Sir Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves have scrapped plans to break their manifesto pledge, raise income tax rates in a massive U-turn less than 2 weeks from the budget. The decision, first reported in the Financial Times, came after a bruising few days, which has brought about the change of heart in Downing Street. Now, I've just highlighted this section here. The decision is a massive about turn. In a news conference last week, the Chancellor appeared to pave the way for the manifesto break-in tax rises on November 26. That is going to be in the budget. And I've just highlighted a couple of things here. The decision to backtrack was communicated to the Office of Budget Responsibility on Wednesday in a submission of major measures, according to the Financial Times. The Chancellor will now have to fill an estimated £30 billion black hole with a series of narrower tax rising measures, and is also expected to freeze the income tax threshold for another 2 years beyond 2028, which should raise around £8 billion. Now, in the video yesterday, we spoke about the fact that she has, let me just go full screen. She has also ruled out applying a tax to the banks, which was rumored to raise £8 billion. So I'm not saying that this is going to be a replacement for that specifically, but I would argue, again, these things they are hidden taxes. So it's not a direct tax on you. It's not a direct tax to say, okay, you're going to pay 2p extra in income tax. By freezing the thresholds, and we've done a video on this specifically on how that works, if they extend that to 2030, which is 5 years from now, if you move through the income tax bracket, so you're going from 50,000, let's say put it from 40,000 to over 50,000 pounds, 52,000 pounds a year, you're going to be paying more tax anyway because they've frozen the income tax thresholds. It's called fiscal drag. We've done a video on this. So if they extend that past 2028 to 2030, then you're paying more tax anyway. You may not just necessarily be paying more tax now, but what this will do is it will drag more people into paying higher tax. So it's an indirect tax anyway. How the Telegraph are reporting this, they're saying, let me just go here. They're saying Reeves set to scrap manifesto break-in raid on income tax, and they're saying Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have reportedly abandoned plans for a manifesto break-in raids in income tax. The Treasury is instead looking at cutting the thresholds at which people start paying different rates of income tax. Now, this is slightly, I believe, different to the way Sky are reporting this. In this article, reading through, there was not a lot of information on what that paragraph, what that section right there actually meant. So this is going to be open to interpretation until we hear on November 26. But it's interesting to hear, Kemi Badenoch and obviously the Tories chiming in here. So Kemi Badenoch says here, the Conservative leader said on X that the reported about U-turn was good, if true, adding, but one retreat doesn't fix a budget built on broken promises. Now, this is where party politics comes in. I don't like this stuff. Honestly, I just don't. The Tories were in power for 14 years. You're part of the problem here. So stop pointing the finger that, they're having to fix something that largely you're responsible for. But this is about scoring points. Reeves must guarantee no new taxes on work, business, homes or pensions, and she should go further by abolishing stamp duty. I mean, this coming from the Tories and Kemi Badenoch is pretty rich, because look at the language being used here. No new tax on work, businesses, homes or pensions. Like you're massively narrowing what she can do. So I guarantee you this, after the budget, she'll stand up and she'll basically blame them for raising taxes on one of those key areas and go ahead and, even abolish stamp duty. We've spoken a little bit about that on the channel. The Chancellor has been poised to impose a new levy on entrepreneurs moving their money out of the country. This is talking about the exit tax thing. She's also backed away from that as well. And it's interesting, the rationale that she's given here, which I've highlighted in pink, says the climb down on an exit tax will frustrate MPs on the left of the party who have been calling for more wealth taxes. A source close to the Chancellor said there is a pro-business government This is a pro-business government which is building on the progress we've already made to strengthen the UK's position as an attractive investment prospect for the best and the brightest across the world. Introducing an exit tax would risk signaling that the UK is less welcoming to entrepreneurs and global talent, and that's not something the Chancellor wants to do. I can see that for sure. But, and I said this on my second channel yesterday, the only two countries in Europe that don't have an exit tax are the UK and Italy. Canada, America, most of the major countries in the world have an exit tax. So if she were to bring one in, I don't think it would be out of sorts, would be in line with most of the countries around the world anyway. But I can see her point here around the fact that with where we are right now in the UK, I think we need to attract talent and put in policies out there that would detract people from listing companies on, say, the London Stock Exchange, for example, because, God knows we've missed out on a lot of listings to New York and America because there's more money there. Introducing something like an exit tax potentially damages the prospects of startups, and that also then connects in obviously to the economy and GDP. So I can see her concerns there. I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link both of the articles so that you can go read both of them and kind of come up with your own thoughts on these. But my initial thought is, if you're waking up this morning, you're a working person, this is probably good news and welcoming news, but it raises more questions than answers. How are you going to fill this black hole now? What are you going to do? What exactly will be the tax policies that you're going to announce and implement from November 26th and possibly the new tax year in April to fix things? I honestly believe that income tax, raising it by 2p, taking away the 2p that Jeremy Hunt gave when he was last Chancellor, that gives you a neutral ground to be able to at least sell the fact that, okay, we've increased taxes, but most people will be neutral if you're in PAYE, so you're not paying any more. She hasn't taken that door. So what door is she going to take? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Where does the money come from? That's the thing. Where does it come from? I've shown the chart before on the channel a number of times around where the money comes from in terms of the tax take. Income tax, national insurance contributions, VAT are the largest. Those are the three biggest tax pots that the government generates income via. So if you're saying no to the biggest and the largest, how are you going to fill this gap? It's going to be really, really interesting to watch on November 26th. And again, we're going to be covering it live on the channel here. So I will put a bookmark up. So if you're not subscribed already, you want to subscribe, because when I actually schedule that live, you'll get notified that the schedule's gone in. And I hope that you join me on the day, because I think there will be fireworks. The last autumn budget was when Rishi, was it the last one? I remember Rishi because he absolutely went off on one. And my reaction live was, where was this? Where was this when you were Prime Minister? It was the most amped up version of him that I've ever seen. He was very, very passionate. And I think it's going to be the same. I think there will be a lot of surprises on the day. There'll be a lot of analysis as well. And it will be interesting to see how this all stacks out. But I don't know what she's going to do now. I really, really don't. It's going to be very interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And again, if you have got value from this, please consider subscribing. We're trying to get to 80,000 subscribers. Make sure you hit the like button as well, just so that other people get to see this. The algorithm will push it because you nudged and said you enjoyed the video. Whatever you're doing, have an amazing weekend. I will see you Monday next week. Cheers.